Hello.
Good morning.
From a very chilly Falkirk on the Union Canal in Scotland.
Yes, it might be sunny, but it's cold.
It's a 4-layer day, people. So why is it called the Union Canal? Well, when they built it, it was meant to unite the two big cities in Scotland, yes. Edinburgh and Glasgow. And the Union Canal linked with the Forth and Clyde Canal via a flight of 11 locks about half a mile behind us, and they went down, curved around the hillside and came out on the Forth and Clyde. And everything was all right for a while. But then as the canal trade started to decrease, they closed the locks. They were dismantled, some of them were filled in, and the link was broken. There was no union between Glasgow and Edinburgh anymore.
All done.
And things stayed like that for well over 60 years. But then in 1998 they started the Millennium Link project. It cost £84 million.
Oh!
Yeah. And they were going to try and redo the link between the Union and Forth and Clyde canals. But since they closed the locks, they'd built houses and businesses and roads, and a viaduct that carried the railway had been filled in, so they had to get through. How were they going to do it?
Go through somebody's kitchen.
It'd have probably been hours, wouldn't it? So they had a lot of planning to do. The first challenge was to dig a new channel, a new cut, which comes from Port Maxwell about half a mile back. Port Maxwell, it sounds like Fort Boyard, doesn't it? Do you remember that with Samantha Fox?
Fort Boyard?
Yeah.
It sounds nothing like it.
It does, doesn't it? It sounds more exciting than it is. It's just a set of visitor moorings now. But it's right next to where the canal used to branch off and go down the 11 locks to the Forth and Clyde Canal. So the new cutting comes down here, and here are a new set of locks. It's a double staircase lock, and it takes the canal down about 30 feet. So what is a staircase lock? Well, locks usually have an area of water between them called a pound, but here the locks are joined together. They were usually built where the canal had to climb a steep gradient over a shorter distance. They can be a bit daunting, especially for new boaters or those with little experience, so there's always some experienced staff on hand to guide you through. As we go into the top lock, the gates are closed behind us and the water is then emptied into that lower chamber. Once the water levels are equal, the lock keepers open the gates and we move forward into that next lock. And the water's then emptied from this chamber down to the canal at the bottom. It's as simple as that. If you'd like to check out some huge and interesting staircase locks, watch our episodes on the Bingley 5 Rise locks, Neptune staircase and the Fort Augustus locks on the Caledonian Canal. I'll put links in the video description. As you come out of the staircase locks, you've got a really sharp starboard turn and then Roughcastle Tunnel ahead. Weirdly, it's the first canal tunnel to be dug in the UK for decades, but it's only the second ever canal tunnel to be dug in Scotland. And they had to dig it because above it is the railway between Edinburgh and Glasgow. There's also Bonny Hill Road, which is a busy road. There's some houses, and there's the Antonine Wall, which is a historic Roman wall, and they weren't allowed to disturb that. As we approach the tunnel, you can see the lights flashing red and green and red and green. Don't worry, it's not a warning of the trippy experience that you're about to encounter. It just means proceed, but with caution. Roughcastle Tunnel is a baby. It's only 20 years old. It's 575 feet long, and it recently had some amazing architectural lighting installed along the length of the roof. Things are about to get rather groovy. Wow, that was amazing, and things are about to get even better. We emerge from the tunnel approaching the aqueduct that carries us towards the Falkirk Wheel. Standing 115 feet high, I can see distant mountains further north into Scotland from here, and a bit more concerning, a dead end in the canal with a 79-foot drop. When the Millennium Project began, the biggest challenge was always going to be reconnecting the Union Canal back to the Forth and Clyde Canal. But with the Union being over 100 feet higher than the Forth and Clyde, and the old locks long since dismantled, engineers were tasked to come up with something unique to bring these canals back together. They came up with all sorts of weird and wonderful ideas to try and solve the difference in height. Rolling eggs, tilting tanks, a giant seesaw, and even an overhead monorail that lifted boats out of the water and onto a lift that looked like a huge Ferris wheel. Finally, this rotating wheel design was given the go-ahead. The shape was inspired by recognisable sights from Scotland's past. The ribcage of a whale, a vast turning propeller of a Clydebank-built ship, and the arms, which are shaped like a Celtic double-headed spear. Over 1,000 people were involved in building the Falkirk Wheel, from the moment it was first constructed in Derbyshire, 300 miles south of here, before being completely dismantled and brought up to Falkirk on 35 lorries to be built back together again like a giant Meccano set. 15,000 bolts hold the 1,200 tons of steel together, and then the wheel was officially opened by the Queen in 2002. So how does it work? Well, the engineering and design might look modern, but the theory that actually makes it work dates back over 2,000 years to Archimedes' principle. Do you remember him from history class at school? He's the Greek engineer who shouted, "Eureka!" jumped out of his bath and ran down the street to tell the king what he'd discovered. His theory is that floating objects displace their own weight in water, and that theory is what makes the Falkirk Wheel work. There's two caissons, or gondolas. They're just like giant bathtubs. And when a boat comes into the caisson, the amount of water leaving it weighs exactly the same as the boat that's entering. So as long as there's the same amount of water in each caisson, which is constantly monitored by computers, they'll both weigh exactly the same, about 500 tons. And that's even if one's empty and the other one is full of boats. We're all set to go. Two hydraulic watertight steel gates rise up from a recess in the caisson behind us, and once they're locked into place, the water in between the gates gets pumped out. The clamps that hold the wheel to the base of the structure are unlocked, and that means the wheel can start turning. Ten hydraulic motors begin to rotate a central axle, connected to the outer arms which hold the caissons. It slowly begins to turn at about 1/8 of a revolution per minute. And at that speed, it's going to take us about 4 minutes to complete the half turn down to the lower basin, which is 79 feet below us. The wheel can turn clockwise or anti-clockwise, but to prevent too much wear and tear on the bearings and the other parts of the wheel, the operators in the control room balance out the number of times it goes in each direction. As the wheel rotates, the caissons stay upright all the time, and that's thanks to a set of gears. Two 8-metre outer rings orbit around that fixed centre cog via these smaller cogs, and they travel in opposite direction to the outer rings, and that's how the two caissons manage to stay level all the time. It only takes about 1.5 kilowatt hours of energy to turn the wheel in 1/2 rotation. That's about the same as boiling 8 kettles of water. It's all down to balance and equilibrium. It doesn't take as much energy to move them as it would if there was just one. In fact, having two like this uses about a 20th of the power, because all you need to do is start the movement and then stop it. Once we've completed the rotation, a hydraulic clamp locks the caisson back into place and stops the wheel from moving, and the space between those watertight gates is filled up with water. Once the water levels have equalised, the gates can lower down and we can move off. At the bottom, there's a visitors centre and there's a trip boat that takes passengers up and down the wheel and across the aqueducts and through Roughcastle Tunnel, so you can come and have a go for yourself. If you're a boater and want to take your own boat on the Falkirk Wheel, it doesn't cost anything, you just need to book with the wheel in advance so that they can see you through the locks and safely onto the wheel itself. If you'd like to take a real-time 360-degree trip on the Falkirk Wheel, we've just released a 360 video where you can literally look all around you during the entire trip. It's an amazing experience if you've not watched a 360-degree video before. There's a link on screen at the top right. If it's not there, you can check it out in the video description, which links to our sister channel Britain by Narrowboat, where you can watch the video after this one. We're on one of those wibbly wobbly pontoons again. And Sean's just got a mouthful of chocolate digestive.
Again.
Without the chocolate. Do you lick all the chocolate off before you eat the digestive?
No, you're just weird.
I'm not just weird, it's the same with Oreos. You eat the double stuff, I like the double stuff. And then you eat the biscuits. You don't dunk them in milk. What's that all about? Anyway, here we are. On a different canal. So we're now on the Forth and Clyde Canal. Glasgow is about 22 miles that way. Edinburgh's about 31 miles back the way we've come. Oh, what a ride that was. It didn't take long, but it were really enjoyable. A bit like most things in life, really, isn't it? I know, I used to know somebody like that. 4 minutes it takes to get from the top around to the bottom.
Not long at all.
And the views are amazing, especially on a day like this.
Yeah, lovely and clear.
And it's ace because imagine how much water 11 locks used to use and how much time it used to take, like nearly half a day, a full day, if you were an inexperienced boater to get down. But this is like 4 minutes and it doesn't waste a drop of water because the water it brings down
takes back up
again. Star.
Amazing. Amazeballs.
Loving that. I hope you enjoyed all the little facts and figures about the Millennium Link project and about how they built the Falkirk Wheel. We've been getting a lot of requests for quite a few months to do an episode about the Falkirk Wheel, so I hope we've lived up to your expectations. If you have, and you're not already, please subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. If you'd like to get notifications from YouTube every time we release a new video, hit the notifications bell. And if you'd like to help support the channel so we can make more of this kind of stuff,
yeah,
especially on days like this,
yeah,
then there's a link up above Sean's head if you're watching on a smartphone or tablet, or in the video description if you go to a computer, and you can join as a YouTube member or become a patron on our Patreon site and get loads of behind the scenes exclusives, how we make stuff, and I nearly swore there.
More of this madness.
Stuff like that. So we've got 22 miles to get to Glasgow.
I'm back.
And apparently there's a football game on by the time we get there.
Oh, we're not stopping.
And a drive-through McDonald's.
We're stopping.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Ta-ra.